Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is, and it's time for our weekly track roundup. But this is a pretty full episode of the segment because there's so many things I have to mention here before we just jump into the worst and best tracks of the week. Already messing up. Our Amazon Associates link. If you hit that link, it's at the top of the description box. If you live in the US, you click on it, you get something on Amazon, we get kickback from it. It does not add to your overall price. Also down there is our support page where available for the rest of this month are our iconic Anthony Fantano and Cal Chuchesta t-shirts. A better picture of the shirt is on that page over there, and we do international shipping and all that, so those are available. I also want to mention the good people over at Call Arts in Australia. They are a music and music business school, and they helped put together some of my speaking gigs when I was down there not too long ago. And they put together a little advertisement stinger featuring ya boy, and it looks pretty good.
You might know him as the Needle Drop. Anthony Fantano is his name. Welcome to WJ.
What up?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see your face in person after I've watched you online for so many years.
This wasn't the test, was it?
No.
Okay. I didn't want to walk in the middle of that. You guys have this music scene down here where it's like, I don't know, it's really localized, and you guys sort of seem to know who all the local artists are and like support them and actually like care about what's going on in your own backyard. So it's always nice to sort of come down here and see you guys kind of moving at the beat of your own drum.
We've been high, my spirit lifted, I'm reincarnated. Man, I open up my eyes, I can see the telling lies. Man, you know it, you show it.
Link to Call Arts down there in the description. And also I want to mention the good people over at Discogs who have a new app that they are rolling out. If you're a nerdy music collector, a record collector like myself, you can actually use this app really efficiently on the go to sort of manage your collection, because I know a lot of people list their collections on Discogs. You can look for prices on records that you're interested in. You could add to your want list. And of course, you can also use the app like a lot of people do to discover new music, find out about new records that you would not have heard about otherwise. So links and information to that app and Discogs website down there in the description. And that's it, guys. Grab that app, hit up Call Arts, do that Amazon Associates link if you're getting shit on Amazon already. And if you're interested in that shirt, pick up a shirt. Let's get into the worst tracks of the week. Kicking off the top of the worst tracks of the week section is this new track from Brooke Candy featuring Sia, of all people. I would not have thought these two would ever end up on the same track, especially considering how garish and freaky Brooke Candy's music and obnoxious typically is. But this new track of hers, it's kind of tame, unfortunately. There's not really too much special about it. It's, I don't know, just like some really generic by the numbers top 40 songwriting, contemporary top 40 songwriting. Not really too much to say about it other than that. Of course, having Sia in the mix adds that epic factor, but it's not really enough to make the song all that compelling. Moving on from there, we had this new song from Waka Flocka Flame, titled Was My Dog. It's a Gucci Mane diss, and it is the tamest diss. Like, he sort of goes at Gucci Mane in the refrain and the hook, but like a lot of the deeper lyrics, a lot of the deep lyrical cuts in these verses could have been placed into any number of Waka songs. Like, I'm tired of hearing these half-hearted disses. If you're gonna diss somebody, go at them, make a claim, tear him down, expose something. You know, that's another horrible thing about this track. It exposes nothing about Gucci Mane that we didn't already know. There's bad blood between you guys. I get it. And I mean, I understand why there is, but you're not turning that aggression, you're not turning that frustration into a compelling song. This diss, unfortunately, falls really flat, but maybe not as flat as the new Coolio song. Coolio, I'm sorry. Coolio, he follows my Twitter account. Maybe not like technically, but every single time I mention Coolio or Coolio is mentioned to me, he tweets at me and he's like, are you going to review the track? Are you going to talk about the track? You're going to talk about my music? You're going to give me a review? Coolio, I'm talking about this song over here. It's not one of your better cuts, dude. It's pretty lackluster, but I don't think it's unsalvageable. I could tell that you're spitting fast here. You're going crazy. You're giving it your all, but the mixing's kind of weird. I can't really hear you, Coolio. You're kind of getting drowned out in the beat. It's not the best production. It's not the best recording. I feel like you need to kind of go back to your roots a little bit here and maybe throw some of that pop rap appeal back into the mix. You know, make a song that people are going to want to, vibe to, have a good time to, or something like that. I know you've written hardcore tracks before, but this is just not one of your better cuts. This is just not one of your better cuts. If you are going to go aggressive like this again, it's got to be clear. It's got to be hard hitting. It's got to be visceral. It can't be muddy and sort of, wishy-washy like this. It's just kind of, it's like a little bit of NyQuil. It's like fast, aggressive NyQuil. But it's salvageable. Keep doing it. Keep doing your thing, Coolio. And moving on from there, what I thought was the worst track of the week is this new M.I.A. song, P.O.W.A. M.I.A. unfortunately is continuing on this streak where her vocals, her vocal performances, her flows are just totally uninspired. They're unenthusiastic. They're flat. They're uninteresting. This beat is actually better and more exciting than many of the instrumentals that were on M.I.A.'s last album, but still, she's like in this weird limbo state where M.I.A., her voice, just her lyrics, are the most uninteresting thing about almost every track she releases, and I'm just not sure where the swagger went. I'm not really sure where the energy went. I'm not really sure where the wit went. It's just kind of all out the window at this point, sadly. But let's move on to the songs that I wanted to mention. I wasn't crazy about them, but they're definitely worth giving a nod to. They're worth checking out if you're into these artists, or if, sort of the sound I describe is something of your interest. Let's start off with this new Desiigner song, Outlet. Not a terrible song from Desiigner. And the first song he's released in a while that does not just sound like a Future song. So good on Desiigner. Unfortunately, there's not really that strong of a hook over here, but his ad-libs are insane. The beat goes hard as fuck. And his performance is really amped. Lyrically, it's Desiigner. You can't expect a whole lot from the lyrical front on this track, but it's an okay song. It's a listenable song. It's definitely better and less awkward than Timmy Turner. It's not another Panda or anything like that, but he's certainly coming closer to pulling together a hit than he was on Timmy Turner. Moving on from there, we have Jidenna with the song Bambi. Jidenna, you may remember, I think he ended up in my worst segment in the last episode. Part of my complaint was that I have such hard time kind of seeing the direction he's moving within his music versus sort of what he puts out there in terms of like, here's how I look, and not that, how an artist looks matters, but he just shoves it in your face. Like he wants you to sort of pay attention to him because he dresses so snazzily and da-da-da-da-da. And it just kind of struck me as odd that like, okay, you've kind of got this vintage classic look to the way that you dress everywhere that you go, but your music just kind of sounds like any old contemporary like rap or R&B song that could be dropping today. So it's like, what are you really doing? But this new song over here kind of surprised me. It's not a perfect song. It didn't blow me away, but it's the first time I've heard his music, and it sounds like he's legitimately kind of mixing the old and the new. Like we have this kind of stripped back trap influenced instrumental here. It's kind of a banger, and we have a lot of sung vocals on this track, which have like kind of an old school Motown vibe to them. I was kind of surprised. And it's actually like a beautiful, set of vocal harmonies, a beautiful like vocal lead. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see if he can continue down this road of mixing the old and the new and continue at the same time to drop songs as tasteful and as compelling as this. It's a really sweet, catchy track. And, I'm just kind of waiting to see if he can kind of pull through with this, do bigger and better things kind of heading in this direction, because this is definitely a step in that. Moving on from there, we have Ganiyu. This is an Irish rapper, I believe, from Ireland. Stand up. And this dude is a grime rapper. He's kind of eccentric. He's a little off the wall with this new song over here, Shivers. And it's kind of nutty. It's weird, but it's a good it's a good grime song. It's hard hitting and it's nasty. So definitely check that out. And we have Mantar with the band The Spell, or Mantar with the song The Spell. Excuse me. These guys this duo, I believe. They're still a duo. At least when I last heard of them, they were still a duo. And their music, while they did, I guess, kind of embrace very nicely elements of death metal and a little bit of death and roll, their music was a little too stripped back for me to be all that excited about. You know, like just the drums and the guitars and the vocals. But now it kind of seems like they're sounding a little bit fuller on this new track over here, a little heavier, and I like that a lot. Moving on from there, Quelle Chris with the song Birthdaze. You know, I love how eccentric this dude is always. I love his weird out there style. He sounds like no other rapper that I've ever heard. But sometimes he's just so glazed over that it just punches the wind out of any track that he's recording. And this is kind of one of those instances, unfortunately. I like the concept of the song, and the music video of the track is fucking hilarious. But unfortunately, I feel like a weird drawing vocals kind of overdubbed on top of each other are just a little it is a little much. But he does have a new album out. Give that a shot. Moving on from there, this one surprised me that I put it in the meh category, considering how much I didn't really care for her last track. But that is the one, the only, the great Katy Perry with this new track, Chained to the Rhythm, featuring Skip Marley. I like the instrumental on this track. It kind of has a vintage, smooth, funky groove to it that reminds me of like Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion, Daft Punk's last record. There's a little bit of new wave, a little bit of disco mixed into there. And, it's not this crappy, high gloss, totally just like pristine, overly sanitized sound that I usually get from like an epic Katy Perry single. My one gripe with this track, though, is that the chorus is awful. And it's not like there aren't good elements to the chorus. It's that, you have this dance portion of the chorus. You have this chain to the rhythm portion of the chorus. And then you have a third section of the chorus. And instead of just picking one of these and honing it to the point where it just makes a good hook, she decides to throw in every dumb idea that she had and just make this clunky, monstrous, overbearing hook that like never ends, never resolves, never really settles into an awesome, exciting groove that just like lets off into this cathartic release. It just kind of hands you one somewhat unfinished idea after the next, and it's like, okay, that's our weird mutant hook with limbs growing out in every fucking direction. So it's a really weird chorus, but like, yeah, I like the instrumental vibe that she's going for here. I like the verses are like the best thing about the song. I like the grooves on the verses too. There are some good things here. It's an improvement in some respects, but it's like one of the most messily written tracks I've ever heard from Katy Perry. Moving on from there into the best tracks of the week. What were my favorite tracks of the week? I have to give a shout out to the Jesus and Mary chain with the song Always Sad, really catchy, direct, and somewhat laid back alternative rock song there that I thought was pretty good. Hercules and Love Affair with Controller has this really odd like synth and post-punk dance vibe to it that I thought was really chilly, really cool, really odd, and just kind of off-kilter and off-putting. Sound, I don't know, almost gothy to an extent. I just like how there's something sour about the mood of this track. Though it is a dance song, there's something sour about the vibe of the track that I thought was kind of creepy and really weird. Definitely superior to Drake's Controller, or Controller, whatever you want to call it. Moving on from there, Jen's Lekman with the song Evening Prayer. Though his last big single I thought was one of his worst yet, this track over here kind of takes that same campy, silly, fun, tongue-in-cheek vibe that song had, but actually comes through with a compelling song, a fun, uppity, just very happy-go-lucky groove. It seems like he's trying to make like the most upbeat music of his career with this forthcoming album. I hope that ends up being the case, and that more of the songs fall on this side of the fence as opposed to the other side of the fence that his last single did. Moving on from there, we have Xiu Xiu with the song Get Up, one of their most sparse and weird singles that they've dropped so far, but the payoff at the end is amazing. So, definitely go into this thing expecting some very open, spacious rhythms and weird vocal performances. from Jamie. Shout out to him. Also, Power Trip with the song Nightmare Logic. This band is probably going to put out one of the best thrash records of 2017. I'm going to say it, even if I end up having to eat those words later. Look for this album coming out on Southern Lord Records soon, because every single time this band drops a track, it just sounds great. It's so aggressive, it's so hard, it's so fucking heavy. It's kind of bringing back that old school sound, but staying true to the rawness, but it kind of has that new heaviness to it. I like it a lot. Moving on from there, we have Jesca Hoop, who has a new album coming out very soon on Sub Pop Records. Actually, it just came out, I believe. Yeah, it just came out this past Friday. And this track, Memories Are Now, is a beautiful, beautiful song with this really sparse, like dun, 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 dun. Like, that is the groove of almost this entire track, which is held by what sounds like either this guitar, this bass, this baritone guitar, not totally sure, a little bit of distortion on there. And she's just kind of playing the root notes of the chords. And then over that, she has these awesome vocal harmonies that are beautiful and are passionate and are wonderful. And the best thing about this track is a good tune. Even though it's as stripped back as it is, the tune is great. Whether you had this sea of instrumentation in the background or, like in this case, almost no instrumentation in the background, it's so sweet on the ears. It's so passionate. It's so well written. It's so well crafted. So I'm really looking forward to this new album of hers. Sounds like it's going to be this really skeletal but well assembled, piece of work. And I love a good album that can do that, that has everything it needs, nothing it doesn't, and just the material, the source material, the foundation material is so great that it just shines so brightly, despite the fact that it's not on this huge foundation of, amazing production, crazy arranged instrumentation. I love an artist who can do that. Moving on from there, Strange You, who is a UK rapper who has a very weird and grimy and nasty and left field album coming out very soon through High Focus. Make sure you give him a listen because he does seem like a talented and weird individual. And finally, I want to mention one more track over here. Whoever did this, was it someone at Target? I don't know. Whatever dude in whatever boardroom came up with this idea, you're a fucking genius. Because this week, Lil Yachty and Carly Rae Jepsen are on the same song, and it's a cover of Rob Bass's. I can't even say it because I'm so excited. Rob Bass's "It Takes Two," and it's fucking awesome. I don't know what else to say. It's fucking awesome. Like, not only is Mike Will made its kind of reproduction of this instrumental nice, I like the kind of nasty, distorted bass line that he works into the mix, but also Lil Yachty, for someone who everybody says, oh, he sucks at rapping, he can't rap. Even he himself says, oh, I'm not a rapper. I mean, that's kind of a cliche at this point, but still. He comes through here and he kills it. Not only does he stay true to what Rob Bass originally did on that song, but I feel like the jokes and the lyrics that he writes are totally true to him, and totally put his personality forward. Carly Rae Jepsen does a great job on the hook. She does a good verse too, and there's nothing really about this track that I don't like. It's rare that I hear a cover, especially a hip hop cover. Like, there aren't too many hip hop covers. It's rare that I hear a cover like this and I'm just blown away by it. But like, it's so much more than just the star power. Of course I listen to this because of who's on this track, but like, they did such a fucking great job of sort of recreating the feel good, amped, pumped up, exciting magic of this song. Because I remember back in the day when this song was somewhat fresh, and now to sort of hear this revision in 2017 that it kind of brings me that same excitement when I was a kid and I would hear the song on the radio. That's pretty awesome. So, those are my favorite tracks of the week, the songs I was kind of meh on, the worst tracks of the week. And again, down there in the description, make sure to check out the shirt, Amazon Associates link, Call Arts, and the good people over at Discogs, because they have that fantastic app out, which we'll be talking about for the next few videos in the best worst tracks, because they're sort of doing a sponsorship for us. So shout out to those guys again. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Forever.